Matty Fresh on the track up estate. And I'm bringing to you live my boys Alec and Nate. Tequila Ty, Jay, Nelly, and Zillin in the building. So kick it back, pour the drink. We chillin' because I'm boozing and betting and ballin' like I'm 2-6 in the blue kicks. Watch me move quick. Yeah, this the blueprint. So who's getting involved? Welcome into the show. This is Booze, Bets, and Ball, baby.
And welcome back to Booze, Bets, and Ball. Nate is back this week. The other two, give them the week off. You know, have to be fair to everyone, I guess. So before we get into
a job difference, I just don't want to be. Yeah, I actually have work. I'm in a hotel right now.
Yeah, you get a break. The other, you get some slack. The other two don't. But it's whatever. A lot happened in the past week. Obviously, we had the 5 championship games, the playoff reveal, the bowl game selections, and the transfer portal open. So before we get into that stuff, I wanted to look back really quick because last episode, pretty much all we did was do our championship weekend game predictions. I covered for you. I tried to get in your mind about what you were going to do, and you were the only one who fared, I guess, decently well, a game better than all of us. I would have been 4-1 if the LSU Georgia game went exactly how I thought it was going to go. I said Georgia's going to get up 35-7, and they're going to, give up pretty much. They're going to lay back. They don't want anybody getting hurt, anyone getting a targeting suspension, and they got up by exactly 35-7 at one point, and then they kind of, let off the brake a little, or let off the gas a little bit, and LSU had a chance down 20 to go drive and score a touchdown, and they couldn't. So that screwed me. So that's why I ended up 3-2, and you got to 4-1. So you get the trophy for this.
Oh, we need a trophy
for the week. Yeah, well, I don't have one, but
all right, well, we got one. I have no memory of what I picked. I just know that we'll talk about some of the games, especially the Pac-12 game. That was amazing, and Utah is really fantastic. And I thought USC, I forget which one I lost even, right? But it went pretty predictably, I think, right? Like TCU just couldn't hold a lead or win close games 8 out of 13 times this year, right? And I don't know. Utah is a bully, and what else? Georgia's just the best team in the country. Michigan is far better than everybody else in the Big Ten, maybe besides Ohio State. We'll see potentially. And then the ACC sucks. So but Gabe Klubnik, man, he really came out this week.
Yeah, really quick, the game you got wrong, you had USC -2.5.
Oh, I'm a stupid idiot.
I was the only one who had Utah, so I get.
Good for you.
Yeah, I had a feeling. But yeah, Cade Klubnik. I was surprised they pulled DJU as quick as they did. I mean, it was only 2 drives, but I think Dabo was finally at the point where he's seen enough. And I'm starting to wonder if, this week he thought to himself, man, if I played him all year, would I be in the playoff again instead of the Orange Bowl? I don't know. I mean, DJU entered the portal pretty quick after that. So I think that
the
shows
is on the wall now.
Yeah. So yeah, that was an interesting one with Clemson. I don't think it was as similar as the Clifford Alar situation. I think Klubnik is a little more game ready in a sense, and I think DJU talent wise he's not worse than Clifford, I don't think, but in terms of winning games and that kind of stuff, I don't think he has the it factor that Clifford has, and people claim Clifford doesn't have the it factor, and I think DJU might even be below that.
Let's look. I just want to see what his stats were for the year. I mean, last year they were really bad. Right? It's very hard to look him up because I have no idea how to spell his last name.
Yeah.
Let's see. But like I mean, Dabo kind of has to be kicking himself a little bit, right? So this year, DJU bounced back to 62 completion percentage, 6.8 yards per attempt, which is pretty bad. 22 TDs and 7 interceptions. So like he bounced back from how poor he did last year, still far worse than his 2020 season, and not, I don't know, not what you're looking for in a quarterback. I mean, I know Clifford is probably better in every one of those stats, right? So and Clifford had a lot more experience. Clifford never stunk. Right? Last year DJU kind of stunk. So, and I don't know. I'm sure he's a nice kid, but it's a much different situation, like you said.
Yeah, but next year there's a chance we have the number 1 and number 2 quarterbacks from the 2002 recruiting class playing each other in the playoff. If Penn State gets there with Aller, I think Clemson in the ACC with Klubnik, they have a pretty good chance of getting there next year. So, yeah, that'll be a storyline to watch next year, I think.
So basically, this just for what it's worth, right? Clifford had 64% completions, 7.7 yards per attempt, so it's much better than DJU. They had identical TD to touchdowns though, 22-7 each. So I don't know. Clifford was better this year, and I'm happy that he started all the games, and I don't care what anybody says.
Yeah, Tyler and I got into that last week, and that was kind of the consensus we came to. So I think we're gonna leave it at that, because after the Rose Bowl, there's no reason to go to it at this point anymore. But for the playoff, Georgia 1, Michigan 2, TCU 3. Despite losing, I think Alabama thought they deserved that spot there when TCU lost, which never made sense. Ohio State 4, which I think everyone expected once USC got beat pretty bad by Utah. They don't go with the Michigan-Ohio State rematch, which I thought they might have done, because I think there's a chance that would have been the most viewed college football game ever. But, we'll see if they meet in the championship game. That would obviously be worst-case scenario for Penn State. I think everybody's on the TCU bandwagon right now.
I guess, yeah. Then the commissioner of the committee talked about how the Michigan-Ohio State rematch did not come up once in the discussion. I find that total bullcrap. Like, there's no way they didn't talk about that. I am proud of them for not doing it, though, right? Because it's too easy, and then it guarantees a Big Ten team in the championship game, which is always kind of weird, right? And I don't know, like, TCU's loss was far less bad than Ohio State's loss was, right? So, I mean, they lost to Kansas State, who's a top 10 team, versus Michigan, but it was 3 points in overtime or 22 points at home. So I think the way it worked out, I'm pretty happy with. You can't really justify putting Michigan over Georgia, because Georgia's just been the best team all year. And it's going to be exciting. I don't know. We'll get into picks probably late, like sometime down the road in the next few weeks. But yeah, I don't know. I guess I'm on the TCU bandwagon. TCU Georgia championship game is the weirdest thing ever, but that's
it is. Yeah. I mean, that would be nice to watch, though. Don't have to have any rooting interest, really. Can just watch the game and enjoy it. But
it would be like Duke Butler, though, like whatever UConn Butler from 2008, like the scrappy underdog against the blue blood team, and TCU would have no shot. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I don't think so either, but it is what it is. What'd you think of, before we get into the Penn State Bowl, what'd you think of the Heisman finalists? Caleb Williams, CJ Stroud, Stetson Bennett, and Max Duggan, the TCU quarterback. I don't know why Stetson Bennett's there, if I'm being honest. Even in, how many games did Hendon Hooker play? Like 10, 8, 9, something like that. He still had better stats or equal stats to Bennett. And I mean, Blake Corum missed a game and a half pretty much, and he was by far the best running back in the country. It really is just turning into a quarterback award. Yeah.
That's why I picked Bryce Young early at the beginning of the year. Who did you pick? Do you remember?
I actually picked a running back. I picked Braylon Allen, who, by the way, doesn't sound like he's transferring to Michigan, which is good.
That's very good,
because that rumor was out there.
So I mean, that's basically what it is now, right? Is the best quarterback on the best team or whatever. But I don't know. There's Stetson Bennett. I don't know. He's got more gray hair than I do, probably because he's about my age. Is getting a lot of flack for making it, right? And I don't know. You can't blame him. He's just doing his thing. Thank God Clifford didn't make it and Penn State didn't make the playoff, because it would have been the same thing for us. But I don't know. I watching Caleb Williams play last week. So like I watched the last few games that he played.
Mm-hmm.
That dude is amazing, right? And when he got slightly hurt, the whole trajectory of that game changed dramatically. So he is probably the best and most valuable player. I do think, like you said, Hendon Hooker has a shot for that too, and probably should have been rewarded for it. Max Dugan's tough as hell, and CJ Stroud led the best offense in the country. So I don't know. It's not bad except for Stetson Bennett, I guess, right?
I don't have a total problem with it. I just think it'd be nice if they got a little more creative at times with, like when they gave it to Devonta Smith a couple of years ago. Like that was good. Like I felt that was good for the award. It was good for the sport to have a non-quarterback, a receiver win it. It was nice when you had a couple defensive representatives those few years, like Jabril Peppers and Chase Young. And the funny thing is about Chase Young. Chase Young was a Heisman finalist, and he had worse or about the same stats as Carl Nassib did in 2015. Carl Nassib played in 2 less games, but I guess that's what happens when you go 7-5 versus making the playoff, I guess.
I mean, it's just like everything else, right? It's all AP type voters, right? And they tend to be lazy, right? And that's why, I don't know, like that's why sometimes they'll leave a team off of the ballot, right? Or like there's always these questions about, why is X over Y by 10 spots or something like that when they shouldn't be, because nobody cares, right? Like it's just everybody's selling life right now to the nth degree, and nobody really cares about doing their job the right way. So there you go. They should let us vote. I would have had. Who would you have had if you picked top 4 Heisman finalists?
I would have had probably Williams, Stroud, Hooker, and Corum.
Williams, Stroud, Hooker, and Corum. Yeah, I think that's fair. And then Max Duggan probably next, I think.
He would have been 5 or 6 for me. I don't know. A lot of the running backs that people thought were gonna have big years didn't.
Yeah.
I think like Bijan Robinson. I think he still had a pretty good year, but it's just the fact that Texas wasn't as good as people thought. And Chris Evans from Ole Miss. He was like a 5-star or whatever, but he ended up like splitting carries. Then he wasn't like a bell cow like they thought he was gonna be. Anthony Richardson, the Florida quarterback, struggled at times, even though it looks like he's gonna be a projected top 5 pick now or something like that. So
Will Levis struggled at times and top 3 pick.
Yeah. I mean,
No, honestly though, for the running backs, like there's something to be said for somebody who has a really good season but splits carries. Like you probably, for your longevity of your NFL career, you don't want to be a guy that has 1,800 yards on like 400 carries or something like that, right? Because it just eats into your longevity as a professional. So the way, like you said, Ole Miss splitting carries and Singleton and Allen and like these kind of backfield by committee is the best thing for the players and for the kids long term, I think. So Nick and Katron, when you watch this, don't transfer.
Yeah, I think that's that we'll get into that in a second, the transfer portal. But I think that is a selling point for the two of them. Did I say Zach? It's Zach Evans. I don't know what I said that right. I couldn't remember.
You say Chris Evans. That's
Chris Evans. Yeah, I knew I got it wrong. Zach Evans. Yeah, I knew that didn't sound right when I said it, and I had to check. Yeah,
the TCU. He transferred from TCU last year. Yeah. Imagine if he was there still.
Yeah, that would be impressive.
They'd be amazing. Yeah. They're already really good. So
I knew when I said that it didn't sound right.
Deuce, the Kansas State running back.
Oh, Vaughn. I
love him. He's my favorite non-Penn State player now, besides the Purdue wide receiver. It's very late. Charlie Jones. Charlie Jones is my favorite non-Penn State player. Deuce Vaughn is second.
Yeah, he watching that game, he reminded me a little bit of Barkley, just the way it wasn't the way Penn State used Barkley as a receiver, where it wasn't just like dump off. Yeah, it was like run a damn route. Like
I know. It was really good. There was a 3rd down conversion like near the goal line there where he ran some sort of in or slant or like dig or whatever. Caught the ball over the middle. It was awesome.
Yeah, pretty good route runner for a running back, I thought. Yeah, that was impressive, I thought, for me. So Penn State started championship weekend at 8, and then the 3 teams ranked right right below them decided to win their championship game, and the three of them jumped them. So Penn State goes to 11. It doesn't really matter. They were going to the Rose Bowl either way once USC lost. So it is what it is. I know you want to finish the season ranked as high as possible for schematics and all that kind of stuff, but I don't really care that much. If they win, they'll move up to like 8, 7, 10 this season, which is totally fine. I don't have a huge problem with that at all.
No, it doesn't matter. I mean, winning, like you said, winning a Rose Bowl is far more important than where you end up ranked, right? So
yeah.
Let's see. USC probably beats Tulane in the Cotton Bowl, and we'll talk about this way down the road. Bama probably beats Kansas State. Let's say we beat Utah, and then one of Tennessee or Clemson wins. So you move up 3 spots there. So you finish like 8th if you win the game or something, right? It's just fine.
Yeah, there's no complaints. Finishing
they lost 2 games by double digits, right? So you can't complain too much.
Nah, not a big problem. Early thoughts on Utah. I mean, I thought they looked pretty good. USC's defense, I think, is terrible. I was impressed with Utah's defense. Now, some of that was the fact that Williams was banged up and hobbling and didn't really move. I get that. But the way they shut down that high-powered offense in the second half was pretty impressive. And, I mean, they were swarming. I don't know how good USC's offensive line is. I think most of USC's transfer additions were skill position. Like, they were playing 7-on-7, you know what I mean? Like, that kind of stuff. So, I don't think they were as strong up front as maybe Penn State. I think it might come down to if Olivo Fashanu plays or not is a big deciding factor in that.
I think they're a very good matchup, right? Utah does a lot of sort of half in between what Michigan and Ohio State do, right? They run, they have a good running game, they have big tight ends, but then they also their wide receivers made a bunch of plays. Their defense, like you said, is swarming and fast, and it killed USC after he got hurt. In the beginning, it looked like they were USC was going to be unstoppable. I don't know. We'll see, but it's a good matchup, I think, for Penn State, just because it's something that they're used to.
Yeah. It'd be nice, and it'd be nice to win. One of these.
It'd be really useful. I mean, going into next year, you want momentum. Yeah, I think.
Yeah.
And, let's just take a look at the Ute schedule while we're here. So lost to Florida. So, back in the beginning of the year, there was a lot. Utah was the pick to go to the playoff, right? So, this is not unexpected necessarily. And then the 26-29 loss to Florida kind of set them back a bit. But then they beat San Diego State by 28, Arizona State by 21, lost to UCLA by 10. The defense gave up a lot of points. So they gave up 42 to UCLA, 42 to USC, I guess 20 just to Oregon, 21 to Colorado. I don't know. They've only had really 2 bad games, and that was USC, UCLA in terms of a defense. And then the offense put points on the board. They probably, I don't have it in front of me, but probably averaged 35 to 40, something like that. So it's going to be a good game. They're not a walkover. I don't care if anybody, I don't know what your Twitter says, but I think there's a little bit of overconfidence, or just because, Utah doesn't have the brand name that people wanted to play. But they're a good team. Yeah. And
I'll mention Penn State has kind of struggled with the teams that don't have a brand name in bowl games. I look at Kentucky, who was trying to make a statement in the Citrus Bowl a couple of years ago, and then Arkansas, who's a decent name, not considered a blue blood by any means, and they came out wanting to win the Outback Bowl. It seemed a little more than Penn State, who had 9 opt-outs did. You know what I mean? So I think Penn State does struggle with these teams that does have a chip on their shoulder, and considering Utah lost the Rose Bowl last year, I think maybe they're a little extra motivated to win this game, especially considering it's a lot of the same guys. So
yeah, and we'll see. We'll see how many opt-outs you have. Again, Joey Porter opted out; he's the only one so far. Parker Washington probably hurt, right? For the
I think he's hurt either way. So I don't think. I think you're looking at PJ Mustipher, Jair Brown, Brandon Strange, guys like that. You're gonna see what they do.
Yeah.
So I I think Jair Brown would play. Just takes me as the kind of guy that would.
He
But
seems to really like it, right? Like he
yeah.
seems to like playing for Penn State. And PJ came back too. I mean,
Mhm.
what's the best bowl game he's been to? He was in the Cotton Bowl in 2019, right? And had a couple of down years, so maybe he wants to go out big.
Yeah, and I think if Strange was to declare, Penn State has enough tight end depth where he could play, but they'll put him in positions where, he won't be, his risk of getting hurt goes down. But if it's 3rd and 10 and they need him out there, like he could go out there. I think that's kind of what they tried to do with Barkley in the Fiesta Bowl, and he kind of said, "Screw it, like I'm going out here no matter what." So I think there are ways they could get these guys that maybe are hesitant to play. They could get them to play a little bit because of the nice depth they have at some spots.
I think so. And that's what I was going to say about even Joey Porter opting out. I mean, good luck to him. He's going to have a very successful NFL career. And that's a place where the depth is so good on this team. It's the best unit there, right? So it's okay, right? Like if they lose the game, it's not going to be because Joey Porter opted out.
Yeah, I know. I don't think so. I think especially Utah, they're not Ohio State where they're going to try to throw the ball 45 times. I don't think either. And they throw the tight ends a lot when they do throw, and that's not really a Joey Porter responsibility. So I don't see this coming down to that, even though some people said to me that Penn State seems to lead the nation in opt-outs every year, even though last year was the first time a Penn State player ever opted out of a bowl game. So some people just the memory's not there. Like I don't know.
God, we need to have a deep dive on the Twitter mentions and what the flack that you get.
In the off season, we will do like a hot take episode.
I swear,
I'll just screenshot them all and we'll laugh at them for like a half hour. But
this is not meant for any specific individual necessarily.
No, it's really not.
People are getting dumber, right? And they're getting dumber and more opinionated and more firm in their stupid opinions. So I don't know. I'm on today, but oh my God, the past couple of days have been crazy.
It happened. I don't know. The past 3 weeks have been like loony town. Like I don't know what has been going on, but people, and I'm just waiting for someone semi decent from Penn State to enter the portal, and people
oh my God,
want to melt the place down. And Texas A&M, apparently 18 players.
Everybody is gone. Yeah.
We at the beginning of the year, we talked about that recruiting class, the 8 5-star recruiting class, like crazy. Half of it's gone, I think, or in the portal at least. Some of those guys had disciplinary problems, but it's remarkable to see.
Penn State needs to snatch a few of those guys up. And White, right? I forget there was a Harrisburg.
And Andre White. Yeah.
Geez, come on, let's get after it.
Yeah, portal. A lot of guys. I think, and from what I read, all over the place, receivers the number one target for them. And part of that is Mitchell Tinsley is definitely gone out of eligibility. Part of that is, I guess, the uncertainty with Parker Washington. Now, I think if they go and get 2 or 3 portal receivers, they have a pretty good idea of what Washington's doing, even if he doesn't come out and say it. If they get 3, I think that's pretty obvious. But there's a lot of options, and that was kind of the thing where receiver, I feel is a position in recruiting where if you don't love your options, don't take a guy for the sake of taking a guy, because it seems to be the most talent-rich position in the portal every year now.
Yeah.
I mean, some of these guys, they're looking at Dante Cephas from Kent State, who's from Pittsburgh and played with Daquan Hardy, the cornerback, in high school. So, that's a possible one. Who was the Eric? Yeah. Dante Thornton, or Deontay. I don't know how he says it. Former Penn State commit, from Oregon, maybe comes back east. We'll see. Jimmy Horn Jr., the speedy slot guy from USF, another option. The kid from Arizona that just entered, Singer, I think is his last name.
Yeah, he was a walk-on too. So
yeah. So I mean, there's a lot of options there, and I think if you want to put Drew Aller in the best position to succeed right away, you better put veteran pass catchers around him, because if Tinsley, Washington, and Strange all move on after the year, that's your 3 most experienced, guys that have the most catches for you. leaving. So I think it is a good decision by them to maybe get 2 transfer guys at receiver.
Yeah, so here you go. You got, and this is ranked by their high school draft or high school recruiting ranks. So Dominic Lovett from Missouri, Dante Cephas, who was a 4-star, Kent State now, Dante Thornton, Dorian Singer, Arizona. Somehow it said he was a walk-on, but maybe that's his transfer. These are the transfer grades, I guess.
Yeah, those are probably the transfer grades.
Jimmy Horn highlights are incredible.
Mm-hmm.
You got Theo Weiss. Like there's like 8 4-star rated guys. One of them from Iowa, Arlen Bruce the 4th. So go get him because he will pan out to be the best. What I'm like shocked about are the quarterbacks going into the portal. That's crazy to me, right?
Yeah. Leary from NC State.
May.
I mean, yeah, May we don't know for sure yet. There was talked about. I know Georgia apparently wanted him to, and I went over and looked on the Georgia 247 board, and they said like we have no reason to believe there's truth to that. But yeah, quarterbacks. I mean, Cade McNamara was not a surprise to me. I think going to Iowa was a bit of a surprise to me, considering how their offense runs like it's the 70s. I guess is the best way to put it. And it looks like Eric All, another Michigan captain, is going to go to Iowa too, which is I don't know, a little weird. He put out some like cryptic tweets that were a little weird too, and this was a guy that was seen as like a leader for Michigan. Obviously, I don't think it's affected them at all with the season they're having, but just weird to see that kind of stuff, and the portal's kind of bringing it out.
Iowa's got like 9 guys in the portal right now. So one of the challenges though, if you look up edge rushers in the portal, there are 3 guys. Jake Heimlicher from Penn, it looks like, and then Truman Jones from Harvard. So like,
I think that's why they wanted Chop Robinson so bad, because he had multiple years left, and that was a valuable thing to them. And I mean, if they get Idisa Isaac to come back for another year, which I feel like that's an on the fence move right now. Yeah. I mean,
he should come back. Right?
Isaac Robinson, Dennis Sutton, Zariah Fisher, who's somehow came back from a season-ending injury by week 9, which was interesting.
Zane Durant kind of
Min Vanover, who's had a decent year playing some time. So
interior defensive line is a bigger problem, I think. Right?
Yeah, I think I don't know how many transfer guys they want to bring in. For 21, they brought in 6, I think, and then last year they brought in Robinson, Norzad, Tinsley. So I think 3. Am I missing someone? I don't think so. So I think like 3 to 5 is kind of the amount you're looking at there for what they're going to bring in.
Yeah, it's we'll see how that goes. So you get 3 to 5, and 2 of those probably going to be wide receivers. Getting Keandre Lambert-Smith back and getting the freshman all to stay is an important thing in the wide receiver room. The place that I'm worried about the most next year is interior defensive line, just because you lose PJ, right? It was pretty thin there. Hopefully Beeman comes back, and Devon Ellis, who did walk right on senior day, I think, so he needs to come back too, because that's another place where you're not going to get anybody in the portal. It looks like it's pretty slim pickings there. There's 4 guys, and then like you can't rely on the freshmen in that position just because it takes them a couple of years to really develop. So that's a little bit scary for me. But.
Yeah, I mean,
going up against Michigan with a very thin defensive line does not make for success.
No, I mean, we've touched on this. Penn State was so worried about building a roster to compete with Ohio State that Michigan kind of creeped up on both Penn State and Ohio State and built a roster to beat both of them, because it was built the exact opposite way those two are built, and it's worked out for them the past 2 years.
Yeah. And they're much more Georgia-like, right? And I think, I don't know, I tried to – it's very hard to get data off the 24/7 site or whatever. So I was going to look to see how the teams were built, right, and where they focused their kind of top prospects and things. But if I had to bet my life, I would say that Michigan put a lot more effort into the lines on both sides of the ball than Ohio State did, right? And Ohio State's building up the skill positions and kind of the defensive secondary and stuff like that. And that's what Penn State tried to do, right? And I mean, it works really well if you execute perfectly, right? But then, like you saw Ohio State, Michigan, you get a couple of turnovers and, maybe the quarterback has an off day and things go bad really fast.
So yeah, we'll see. Looks like they even want some offensive line help. There's
That's good too.
an offensive tackle from Rhode Island of all places that has like 20 offers to play FBS, D1 Power 5 ball, which is interesting. Penn State gets him. With the amount of, I guess he's good considering the amount of attention he's getting. I mean, that would be a pretty good tackle duo for them to put around Drew Aller with Fashanu coming back, and then you can move Wallace inside, and then you have a pretty healthy interior depth too, because Tangwell will be back, Wormley will be back, Norzad's gonna be back, and then you add Wallace, JB Nelson. I mean, that would be best case scenario in a way. So we'll see if they get him. Johnny Cornelius, I think is his name. So that's another one to keep an eye on, because I think that it's not a desperate need, but it's kind of like if they get him, to me, that's a Franklin not being content with what is currently he's trying to take a next step. So I think that would be an encouraging sign.
You gotta go get a kicker and a punter, or at least one who does both, right? So I think that's a place of concern for next year too.
Yeah, I think Bacchetta will be okay. Bacchetta, I don't know how he says it. Will be okay punting. Kicking, I don't know. Pinniger could technically come back. He has his COVID year. If he uses it, I don't know, but we'll see with kicker. That's one where I'm not sure.
Yeah. So anyway, next year will be here soon enough. But got the Rose Bowl to look forward to.
Yeah, and
Are you gonna go to the Rose Bowl?
No, because I will be in Florida that week, which is why I was kind of hoping for the Orange Bowl. But that, shout out the Orange Bowl, taking two teams that their primary color is orange. I thought that was pretty funny.
The orangest Orange Bowl of all time, right?
Yeah.
And I saw a thing today that South Carolina wants to fly a flag over the Orange Bowl, which I think is funny.
Right. It's the we lost to South Carolina when it mattered bowl or something. They were calling it. Like, it was pretty funny. Yeah.
Good troll job, young Beamer guy.
Yeah.
Shane Beamer.
Interesting there. Yeah. So I don't know. It's the 6th, maybe. I don't know. 10 days. Come back, do a bowl preview of everything, and then I don't know. Maybe Rose Bowl then, like a week later. We'll get into it. We'll get into it more. I don't know. We'll plan it out. But
it's almost Christmas season, right? So we're gonna have lots of free time because I'm gonna take 2 weeks off from work, so we can live stream for like 6 or 8 hours one day or something. I'm sure that would get several watches.
several views. Yeah. Oh well. All right. Well, that's gonna do it for this one. I want to just touch on everything that's going on because it is probably the craziest time of the year for college football with the coaching changes, the recruiting, the transfer portal, the bowl games coming up. So
go Buffs.
It'll be fun going forward. Yeah. Sanders to Colorado, interesting one. And they're going to be a pain, I think, for all the transfer portal stuff Penn State wants to do too. So yeah, a lot to look forward to there. All right. Yeah. Next week, if it's a problem, we'll touch on it. But all right, that's going to do it for this one. Thanks for watching.